957-2874. We're joined on the line right now by another very special guest, Congresswoman Elise from the great state of New York. She is the House GOP conference chair and a member of the new Weaponization Select Subcommittee modeled after the Church Committee as part of the House Judiciary Committee. Congresswoman Stefanik, thanks for joining us again on Breitbart News Saturday.
Good to be with you, Matt.
Okay, so talk to us about this weaponization subcommittee. What is it that you guys are going after here?
Well, this is going to be some of the most important work that House Republicans do in the majority, and this is about bringing accountability and transparency to what the American people understand has been the weaponization of the federal government against everyday Americans, whether it's parents that the Department of Justice have designated as domestic terrorists, and these parents, patriotically advocated on behalf of their children at school board meetings, or whether it's the blatant politicization of the FBI going against Joe Biden's political opponents. And when I go home to my district and when I talk to people, whether it's in upstate New York or across this country, they understand that there seems to be two sets of rules. One set of rule, if you are a well-connected Democrat who is part of the swamp, your illegal acts get brushed under the rug. Meanwhile, these agencies target law-abiding citizens just because they're conservatives. So there's a lot of digging that we need to do, let alone the egregious illegal acts. For example, I believe it was illegal for the FBI to pay Twitter $3 million to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story. So the first service we can do is shining sunlight and bringing transparency. And we have subpoena power, we're in the majority, and we're not going to hesitate to use it.
Okay, so these are very, very powerful federal agencies and deep entrenched bureaucracies. They're going to fight you guys. Are you guys ready for that fight? Are you guys ready because they're going to do everything under the sun. They're going to delay. They're going to leak. They're going to lie. Walk us through what you guys are doing to prepare for this, because this is a monumental task which you guys are taking on.
You're exactly right, Matt, and we've already seen from the Biden White House and the Biden politicized Department of Justice that they basically said they're not going to comply with their constitutional duty because Congress has oversight over them. They're just going to ignore it. We will use every tool at our disposal, and the good news is you have very strong fighters leading this committee, whether it's Jim Jordan, who's chair of the Judiciary Committee, Darrell Issa, who's former chair of the Oversight Committee, who was able to uncover numerous scandals and illegal acts during the Obama administration, or myself, where we understand when we're over the target in terms of unveiling really important bombshell information that the American people need to know, that these agencies are going to take out all the stops to stop that from coming to light. And I'll tell you, take a step back, Matt. The average American should ask themselves, what are these agencies so afraid of? Obviously, there is egregious crimes that have been committed if they're so unwilling to turn over just basic documents, basic information to Congress. And, hopefully what will come out of this is not only shining a transparent spotlight on these abuses of power, on potential criminal acts. We need to reform these agencies so they're not able to target Americans. Again, these agencies work for the American people, not the other way around.
So, I envision that you guys are going to end up in a subpoena war with these guys. You're going to be, they're at first they'll act like they're complying, and then they won't provide all these documents and witnesses, et cetera, that you need to get to. But at the same time, you're going to see that resistance from this bureaucracy, because that's what happens when you are fighting for change. That's what they do in the government. We've seen this many, many times before over the last decade or so. But in addition to that, there's also many good people at a lot of these places. Are you hearing from any of those people, like good people inside the FBI or the DOJ or whatever, that they want to change the way this is going, that they feel bad that this is what's happened to these agencies and departments, that they want to see something different? Because I think that might be a really important thing here, is that if you've got because I think there are good people at a lot of these places. Not all of them are bad people. A lot of them want to see these agencies in government, people with badges and guns in the government, they want to see them operate the way they're supposed to operate. So are you expecting to hear from them? Are you guys already?
Well, yes, and you make a really good point, Matt. There is a difference between the rank-and-file, hardworking, law-abiding FBI agents across this country versus the politicized bureaucrats, the political appointees based in Washington, D.C. You know, think the Jim Comeys of the world, Rod Rosenstein, Chris Wray. Those are political figures who have politicized and, frankly, broken these agencies. If one report that was buried that came out right before the midterm elections, and it was from the Judiciary Committee under Jim Jordan's leadership, was there were multiple whistleblowers from within the FBI and the Department of Justice who came forward and provided depositions of the abuse that they see internally of the FBI from political leaders at the top and how they're trying to use the Biden agenda, use the left to almost change the way the FBI operates. So an example, there was an extraordinary amount of pressure to designate acts as domestic violent extremism as part of the left's agenda to boost that number in terms of the reporting. And these regional FBI officials across the country said that basically to boost your score, to boost your likelihood of promotions, career advancement, there's an expectation that you continue down this road of the priorities of the Biden administration and the left. So these whistleblowers are going to be very important. And, you know, I'm very familiar. The left only likes a whistleblower when it's a whistleblower in impeachment. They want to silence whistleblowers when they're coming forward to expose the lies of the left. So we're going to have to make sure that these patriots feel comfortable in coming forward, and we encourage them to do so.
And so, what steps are you guys taking to protect these whistleblowers? Because this was a big thing we saw during the Obama administration, frankly. I'm glad you brought up Isaac because I was covering all of that back then with the Fast and Furious scandal where, I mean, they retaliated against ATF agent John Dodson. The IRS scandal, and he was the whistleblower who brought down the Fast and Furious scandal. He was the one who got the ball rolling on Congress figuring that out. The IRS scandal, we saw it. Benghazi, we saw it. I mean, the whistleblowers, we saw them retaliated against by these very powerful agencies. And, of course, when you scare these powerful agencies, they're going to do that. So what protections are you guys getting in place to make sure that these people are safe and protected?
Well, whistleblowers are protected by law. They are protected by law. Anybody has a right to come before Congress constitutionally, and we're going to make sure to the best of our ability that that is absolutely enforced. And I'll tell you, in that same report, Matt, that came out right before the midterms, one of the major themes that came out was there is a silencing effect because there already has been retaliation, whether it's stripping of security clearances, whether it's blocking from promotions, taking off certain high-profile cases when they believe that an individual is a whistleblower from within the agency. That has to stop. And again, that's why this subcommittee is so important in terms of really providing transparency to the abuses that are happening within these agencies, not just against the American people, but the rank and file, hardworking Americans who make up the bulk of, the personnel in these agencies. Again, the politicization, the damage that Jim Comey, Christopher Wray, Rod Rosenstein have done on the FBI and Department of Justice cannot be overstated. They have politicized and broken these agencies, and it's impacted the morale, and it's impacted retention as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Congresswoman Elise, we're out of time, but I really want to thank you for joining us here on Breitbart News Saturday.